Hi, it's Amy from Select Travel Holidays, and I hope you're enjoying our virtual touring and destinations festival. For these presentations, we are really going to focus on destinations right now, as we hop right over to the other side of the world to take a look at both Australia and New Zealand. These presentations are actually a bit of a two-parter because we really wanted you to be able to really sort of delve deep into these incredible destinations, these fantastic countries that for many people are, those sort of big ticket, bucket list items, those once in a lifetime opportunities. Of course, it is possible to combine both Australia and New Zealand on one trip. You could either do a really long one, or you could perhaps pick and choose exactly what you want to do. But for those who perhaps really want to really get under the skin of either New Zealand or Australia, we really wanted to be able to give you an in-depth look. So we have Katie from First Class Holidays giving us two fantastic presentations looking at New Zealand and Australia. Now we're going to look at the land of the long white cloud, New Zealand. And Katie is going to take us, firstly we're going to look at the North Island, and we're going to go from north to south of the island of some of the must-see cities and some of the stunning scenery, and then we're going to hop across to South Island, and she's going to again show us the breathtaking destinations that you can explore on that island as well. And we're going to see some of the incredible diversity that New Zealand has to offer. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I'm personally a big fan of the New Zealand wine, so I know I'll be heading to, for example, Marlborough. But we're also going to look at some of course, for example, you'll look at the likes of Milford Sound, Doubtful Sound that you can visit in the Fjordland. Of course, the Maori culture. Katie's going to show us some of that and where best to experience it. We're going to look at some of the adrenaline thrills you can get in, say, Queenstown, and some of the incredible cities, the Art Deco Napier. We're going to look at just a lot of the cosmopolitan cities that make such an interesting contrast with the splendid natural beauty that you can discover in New Zealand. So there's a perfect balance between stunning scenery and wide open spaces and cosmopolitan cities that just have these incredible cosmopolitan vibes with wonderful art galleries, fantastic restaurants. So you can really get a nice mixed, balanced holiday when you go to New Zealand, and Katie's going to show us how best to do that with her presentation. But as I say, this again is a real destination focus. You can of course go on an escorted tour throughout New Zealand, and that's also something that both ourselves and First Class Holidays can help you with. But you could also do your own self-drive or motorhome holiday, sort of private tour, and we're going to look at those options as well as perhaps rail, and Katie's going to show us all of that, and I hope you'll find it inspiring and informative. I know I certainly did. So sit back and enjoy.
Hello everybody, my name's Katie and I am here to talk to you about First Class Holidays and about the destination of New Zealand. So firstly, just a little bit about us at First Class Holidays. So we are specialists in tailor-made holidays. We're completely independently owned. We've been operating for about 25 years. We're based out of Manchester. And the idea is that all of our staff know all of our destinations really well. They've travelled extensively to them. They've been selling it for a long time. So they will listen to you and your travel agent, and they will be able to help you craft and put together a tailor-made holiday to any of our destinations. And we've got a huge range of product. I'll run through a few different things that you can do within New Zealand itself in during this presentation. But it really is kind of listening to your requirements, listening to what it is that you want to do, and making our suggestions based on our experience and based on our knowledge of the destination. In terms of the product collection, so I'm going to be talking about New Zealand in the middle today, but also we feature Australia. America, Canada and Alaska, and South Africa as well. So all big destinations, all very tailor-made, and all kind of could be quite overwhelming at times. So it's great for you guys to be able to speak to a specialist via your travel agent to help you kind of put together an itinerary, because these aren't destinations that you're going to be going to one place and just being based from there. There really are destinations that you're going to be traveling. You're going to be doing multi-centres. You're going to be traveling around the country and doing lots of different itineraries. So New Zealand. So first of all, just a few facts on New Zealand as a whole. So it's made up of two main islands. You've got North Island and South Island. It's got a similar land mass to the UK. So in terms of size, it's really not as big as some people think it is. And it's got a population of only 4.8 million. So 1.6 million of those people live in the city of Auckland itself and the suburbs. So in terms of the rest of the country, it's really sparse, really spread out. You can drive for miles and not see people, and it's really just countryside and open air and not too crowded at all. No dangerous animals like some of their neighbours. Their seasons are completely opposite to ours. In terms of the seasons, there does vary between North and South Island, but in a general, they're complete opposite to us. You can have really mild days, but also some really warm summers. Down in the South Island, especially, the winters can get very, very cold there. And no visas or jabs required for New Zealand either. And it's all about, for us, the scenery, the edgy cities, and the Maori culture. That is the one thing I love about New Zealand, is the Maori culture. It's completely embraced there. They're the loveliest people ever. And it's a perfect mix of open space, city, and adventures. So out and about, enjoying the space, but also enjoying some real kind of eclectic cities as well. So first of all, we'll start with North Island. I'm going to point out some places that you may have heard of before, that I'm then going to run through kind of what you can do there. So as you can see, so north of the city of Auckland is the Bay of Islands. And to the east of Auckland is the Coromandel Peninsula. And there's a lovely self-drive around the peninsula that I'll talk about in a second. A little bit further south from the Coromandel is Rotorua, which is where you get your thermal hot springs. And south from that is Lake Taupo, huge lakeside resort. On the east coast of North Island is the Art Deco city of Napier. And down in the south is Wellington. So these are the main places I'm going to be talking about today. Obviously, there are so many other places I could be talking about, but I'll have you a lot longer than this presentation. So firstly, Auckland. So I love the city of Auckland in itself. I think it's a really kind of diverse city, really easy to get around. It's on a kind of grid system, so it's dead easy to get around. There's loads of international flights into Auckland from the Arabian Peninsula, from Far East cities, so Hong Kong, Kuala Lumpur, Singapore, and there's lots of flights over from Australia and the USA as well. And it's based around two main bustling harbours. So those harbours itself have lots of restaurants, lots of kind of bars and outdoor cafe culture to really get out and enjoy the seafood. And you can get out onto the water as well. There's lots of boat trips and whale watching and harbour cruises that you can book onto as well. But it's a real kind of multicultural hub within the city itself. The food is very eclectic. You've got kind of an Asian scene there, as well as the seafood being amazing. But you've got a lot of culture there. So the music, they have lots of festivals, lots of shows happening, the arts as well, theatres, but also kind of museums and galleries and things as well. So really lovely kind of multicultural hub. I've already mentioned the water activities to get out onto the water. And then just over the water from Auckland is the islands of the Hauraki Gulf. So on those islands itself, you can do wine tasting, very kind of open space. You can get out and do zip wiring. You can do hire bikes and get out into the city. But it really is a nice way to get over very quickly over by ferry from Auckland, and just get a bit of open space and enjoy that. And the popular activities within the city itself, you'll see in the big picture on this screen, the Sky Tower, which is the tallest building there. The middle bit that kind of sticks out is a viewing platform, so you look out onto the whole of Auckland. You can also do a dive off the side of it, a bungee jump if you want to. But it's a really nice way to kind of get up and really see the city from up above. And there's lots of walking and cycling tours as well. When we first arrived into Auckland, actually, we did a really lovely bike tour, which is a really good way to get out, see the city, but also just kind of to establish where you are and what's where. And it's a really lovely way to go out, and they take you down onto the harbour, across kind of the boardwalks, on your bikes, into some of the markets as well, and around the city to explore it. And there's lots of shopping. I've already mentioned the dining. The nightlife is incredible, so you'll always have a really good night out. Something for everyone, I would say. And then north from Auckland is the Bay of Islands. So it's about a 3 hour drive from Auckland. And the Bay of Islands, when you're flying into Auckland, you actually fly over, and you really get kind of a feel of the stunning kind of blue and kind of turquoise ocean colours. It really is stunning. It's made up of 144 islands. There's loads of really cute kind of beachside boutique towns, which you can go and explore. And kind of the mix between land and sea adventures. So the land adventures, there's the Waitangi Treaty Grounds, which is actually where the Maori and the Westerners came up with an agreement between the two of them and signed the agreement. And there's a big kind of story behind it, and that took place up in the Bay of Islands. You can hire bikes and get out on nature trails. There's horse and mountain horse trekking and mountain bike trekking as well. But there's also some really lovely wineries. All of the kind of little bars and places dotted along the coast here. They love their craft beer, so you can try lots of different craft beers. You can also get out into the water, so fishing trips, diving, snorkeling, coastal kayaking is really popular up here as well. But it's a real kind of lovely coastal holiday vibe up here. And then you head back down to Auckland and across into the Coromandel Peninsula. The Coromandel Peninsula is a really lovely self-drive, and it goes up into the kind of the forest park. Along the coast, it's got some incredible beaches. The top right-hand picture is called Hot Water Beach. So this is a real kind of hub of geothermal activity up here. So you can dig into the sand, and the warm waters and the sand, you're meant to put all the sand and the clay all on your body, and it's meant to be really good for you. But yeah, it's a really lovely experience up there. You can get out onto the water, and you can kayak into the sea. So the top left picture is a place called Cathedral Cove, which is a really, really popular kind of iconic place to visit. Lots of hiking, lots of kind of mountainous interior. So really, the self-driving there, you'll see the picture of me in the bottom left corner. This is just a pit stop on one of the drives. It's winding roads. It's kind of going up and down and through the mountains and round the rugged roads. There's loads of kind of photo spots where you can pull over and take lots of pictures. There's loads of places to stop and do a hike or a walk. And lots of geothermal spas as well. So kind of really natural, really good for your skin and for kind of ailments and things like that. You can stop off in the natural spas and take a dip as well. Once you leave the Coromandel Peninsula, you head south to Rotorua, and again, it's all about the geothermal activity here. So there's bubbling mud pools. As you're driving down into Rotorua, you can see all the steam coming up. It's got a very sulfuric smell to it. If any of you know what sulfur smells like, you will know what I mean. But the whole town has that sort of smell because of the geothermal lakes there. And it's a real hub for the Maori culture there. So you can visit lots of Maori villages in Rotorua. You can also get up into the rainforest, go zip wiring. There's lots of other kind of adrenaline things that you can do here as well. Some people like to stay in Rotorua. You can also drive through Rotorua and stop off on the way to Taupo. But yeah, it just depends how long you've got and how long you want to spend exploring. Taupo itself, as I mentioned earlier, is further south from Rotorua. It's about an hour from Rotorua. And Taupo, the lake, is actually the size of Singapore. So it's a huge lake. And the town of Taupo itself is a lovely lakeside kind of resort destination. It's got a lovely vibe to it. On a sunny day, the outdoor cafe culture and the bars and restaurants are really lovely to kind of sit alongside the lake and look out onto the lake and have some lovely food. There's loads of boat trips that go out onto the lake as well. We did a lovely one. There's a lovely Maori rock carving, which most of the boats will go past on the lake. And just outside Taupo is the Tongariro National Park. So a lot of people who want to go out and do lots of trekking and walking and do the Tongariro crossing, they'll base themselves in Taupo. So it's a nice relaxing place to have while you're going off and then coming back and being able to kind of relax alongside all that trekking. So that is Taupo. And then once you leave Taupo, you head probably about an hour to 2 hours east onto the east coast and you head to the Art Deco city of Napier. So if you imagine something like Miami and the real Art Deco buildings that Miami has, it's got a real kind of vibe to this. So the whole city was actually wiped down and rebuilt in the Art Deco style. And it's got a really lovely vibe to it. Lots of wineries are scattered around just outside the city, and you can do lots of different wine tours. There's lots of beer and craft wine places that you can go for food. You can get a bike and do a bike tour around the city. On the top right hand corner, we actually did a Art Deco tour, and this lovely guy, he picked us up in a vintage car and gave us a tour around the city and showed us all the different buildings and things. So definitely worth visiting. I'll definitely say it's definitely worth a night or two to visit Napier on the route down to the South Island. And then your last point in the North Island will be Wellington. Wellington's quite a busy city, but it's fairly low rise. They've got this lovely cable car that you can get up into the hill at the top, which overlooks the whole city. There's kind of a nice cafe at the top there that you can visit, but the views there are really stunning. It's got loads of museums, loads of galleries and theatre shows, but it really is kind of the central hub for movie making. There's loads of movies that have been filmed in New Zealand. The Hobbit being one of them, Lord of the Rings being another, and you can go and visit the workshop and the place where all of these films were brought to life, and you can do a tour around the theatres, and it really is a great way to explore. Wellington's actually also known as Wellywood, so it's kind of like an alternative of Hollywood. So yeah, it really is kind of definitely a must do for film buffs there. And then you head over on a ferry over to South Island. It's about 3 hours and 10 minutes by ferry into Picton from Wellington. And the places I'm going to talk about on the South Island, so the Nelson Tasman, the Marlborough wine region, Kaikoura, where you'll go whale watching, the city of Christchurch, Whanaka, Queenstown, and all the Fiordland National Park region, the Scottish influence of Dunedin, and then Stewart Island. So I'm going to very briefly run over the two of them. So first of all, the Nelson Tasman. So as soon as you get into Picton, it is west from Picton. It's the sunniest region in New Zealand, and it's got these stunning oceans. You can go snorkeling. It's home to the Abel Tasman National Park, which has an abundance of marine life, and you can get out into the water. The beaches there are really stunning, and sometimes New Zealand isn't necessarily known for these, real white, sandy, stunning beaches, but they definitely have them here. And then the Marlborough region is known for its wine region. So it's New Zealand's largest wine growing region. The nice thing about this region is you have the kind of flat winery kind of land at the bottom, but right in the background you have this stunning kind of mountainous region in the background. It really is kind of really picturesque and really stunning. And then once you head further south from this region, Kaikoura is a really popular stop. Not only do they have other kind of marine life encounters, sea lions and bird life, and they've got a lovely coastal walk in Kaikoura which you can do, but it's really famous to get out and do the whale watching as well. So different whales at different times of year, we can help you kind of recommend when's best to go. But it's popular for getting out onto the water and getting out and exploring your whale watching. And then once you head a little bit further south, you head into Christchurch. Some of you may know that Christchurch was completely flattened by an earthquake, and has been rebuilt. Um, and they've rebuilt it very well. They've still kept hold of quite a lot of the English heritage. It's very much a little bit like Cambridge, I feel, Christchurch. So they've got the gondolas on the rivers there. They've got a lovely tram, like a really old school tram, which runs through. They've still kept hold of and managed to kind of keep some of their old buildings as well. Very good for kind of nightlife. And museums and the arts are very good. They have a lot of outdoor kind of festivals and music and events that happen there. Um, and when they rebuilt, well, when the earthquake first happened, they rebuilt some of those shops. You see in the kind of the back picture and the back of the screen, they rebuilt some of their shops in these kind of big like lorry kind of crater things, and they've kept that. So there's a real kind of there's a lot of stories of people that have experienced the earthquake um and the horrible time that they had then. But it's a really, really kind of got a nice vibe to it, the city. And then once you leave Christchurch, so I would say the difference between the North Island and the South Island, as you can see on the map in the middle, the North Island, you can very easily kind of jag it across the North Island and do a self-drive easily from the north, from the top to the bottom of North Island. Whereas the South Island has this huge mountain range which runs throughout the middle of it, which means you can't just zigzag across the South Island. You have to go around in a circle. So Christchurch, quite often you would head across to the west coast of the South Island. You will then head down and you then explore quite a few of these destinations that I'll be talking about. So Lake Wanaka, there's loads to do on the lake. In the winter, it's really famous for skiing and snowboarding too. But in the town itself, it's got loads of a really cool food and wine scene. You can get out into the mountains during kind of the summer months and do lots of bike and walking tours as well. And the town around the lake has got a really good vibe to it as well. And then a little bit further from that is Queenstown. So Queenstown is known as the outdoor adventure capital of the world. And there's loads of activities to do, whether it be skydiving, whether it be bungee jumping, whether it be throwing yourself in a big ball down a mountain. But it's situated again at the end of the lake. It's really where they filmed a lot of the Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit and films like that down here. So there's a lot of kind of film locations that you can visit, and again, great for film buffs. They do lots of different tours and things. Loads of wine and food places, loads of kind of boutique restaurants to go and visit as well, with lots of unique food. You can also get a scenic flight up into the mountains as well. So really cool to get you up into the kind of the snow-capped mountains. And then you will then go into the fjordland region. So firstly, you have Te which is the base to explore the Milford Sound. So there's two sounds that are the most popular to visit, the Milford Sound and the Doubtful Sound. The Milford Sound doesn't have any accommodation there. So people base themselves in Te Again, huge range of accommodation, loads of restaurants. You can go and visit the glowworm caves, which is a really popular trip, to go on a little boat into the caves, and they kind of you go in kind of nightfall and you see all the glowworms up on the top of the caves. Loads of bird life and walks and things to go around here now, but mainly it's for the Milford Sound. It's known as the eighth wonder of the world. You can get out onto a boat, onto lots of different cruises which go through these kind of huge striking limestone rocks. There's also in the mountains, there's the Milford Track Walking Trail, which you can book onto as well. Another way to see it is to get out onto a scenic flight as well. So really popular way of seeing it. And then the Doubtful Sound is, I would say it's a lot deeper. So the colours are a lot darker. And there's a lot more sea creatures and a lot more kind of to see within the Doubtful Sound as well. Lots of waterfalls and pretty things as well. So yeah, there's two of those. You'll see on the map at the top where the Doubtful and the Milford Sounds are compared to everything else. And then once you leave the western side of the South Island, you then head down to the bottom. So first of all, Stewart Island is located about 30 kilometers south. You can get a ferry over. There's lots of different ferries that go. And it really is kind of back to basics, back to nature. Lots of walking and hiking. It's known as the untouched New Zealand. So it really is kind of scattered homes everywhere, really local towns to visit. Everyone knows each other. It's very laid back, very chilled out. But it's a lovely place to go and visit, just to kind of really get to the kind of laid back nature after having some kind of adventure at maybe the Fjordland or Queenstown or something. And then Dunedin as well, it's very Scottish influenced town. You can see in the picture at the bottom, the Lanark Castle, which overlooks the whole of the town, down to the coast. It's also famous for the little blue and yellow-eyed penguins as well. So there's lots of different ways to go out and see them. Loads of walking and cycling tracks, but it really is very Scottish influence here. So the Edwardian architecture and the kind of rural kind of castles and beautiful architecture to see there. So different ways to see New Zealand is kind of a very popular question that I get asked. So I'm going to run through the different ways we can help you organise. So firstly, we work with a lot of different escorted touring companies. So we work with a number of different ones. Just to highlight, the picture at the top is a company called Grand Pacific Touring, and this is their ultimate coaches. So there's a lot of tours that they use these ultimate coaches on, and essentially what they've done is they've turned a 40-seater coach into a 20-seater. So it's kind of the business class of touring. Everyone gets a window seat, lots more space, their own tables, plug sockets, and it's a lot more comfortable, a little bit more personal because it's that smaller. But there's a number of different escorted touring groups, bigger tours, smaller tours that we can help you and recommend for you. Another way is self-driving and motorhome. So whether it's hiring a car and organising accommodation throughout, or whether it's getting a motorhome suited for you, we work with all different size motorhomes. We can help you with the logistics of the motorhomes as well. So booking into campsites and the actual logistics of driving in it. I've done it myself in New Zealand, and it was so easy to do. And lots of different train journeys as well. So a couple that are very popular is the Coastal Pacific, so from Picton down to Christchurch, and you can see there in the map it stops at Kaikoura, which is where they do the whale watching. And also the Transalpine. So I mentioned that a lot of people will head across from the east coast to the west coast, from Christchurch across to Greymouth. A lot of people like to do that on the train journey, and then that takes them across to that coast to then explore the Fjordland and the towns along there. And so when we put your itinerary together, so we'll be helping you create a whole itinerary. Once we've done that, we will then put it together in a step-by-step, day-to-day itinerary for you in a lovely kind of leather ticket wallet. So it's a real kind of detailed itinerary specific to your itinerary that we've put together. And that's about it. So make sure you do speak to your agent partners and make an appointment with them. And the idea is that they will then come to us, and we just all will work together to put an itinerary together, depending on what it is that you want to do. I've whizzed through the destination, but hope it whets your appetite for New Zealand. And yes, do get in touch with your travel agent, and we'll hopefully be whisking you away to New Zealand as soon as we can. Thanks a lot. Bye.
Well, I really hope you enjoyed that. I thought it was incredibly inspiring, and it really goes to show how diverse and breathtaking New Zealand can be. And if you did find it inspiring, or perhaps you want to find out a little bit more, just give us a call. Contact us on, you can call us on 01 234 326 778, or obviously email us, sales@cruiseselect.co.uk, and of course Team Select will be happy to help you. But thank you so much for watching our presentation. I really hope you enjoyed it, and perhaps learned a bit more about New Zealand. Perhaps it's been a destination that's been on your bucket list for a long time, and why not take that step today to make that dream a reality? And if you do, we'd be more than happy to help you. But for now, take care, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the Virtual Touring and Destinations Festival.